Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Maybe turn down the volume a little bit. Testing, testing. Oh. It's gonna. Alright, it seems like it's working pretty good. So that should be on all 3 streams. Let me try a chat real quick. Let's see. Pop up? Oh, cool. Alright, so now it's popping up in YouTube. Let's try Twitch. That's working good. And then X. Try X. Oh, X is read only. Okay, so just YouTube, Twitch. That's good. Let me see if there's somebody in chat. Let me see if someone can type in chat real quick. I want to see if it shows up on the restream. Sorry if anybody's watching. I'm just doing a test because I'm running on Restream so I can stream on multiple platforms. Trying to make sure everything syncs up with the Restream so I can see all the chats and everything. Trying to get someone to type out something in chat so I can see if it pops up on my restream, so I know that way I don't have to have multiple things open at once. One second. I'm testing my. Thanks, Ronnie, for typing that out. I'm testing my restream because I linked all my accounts into Restream so I can stream on multiple platforms, and I have it going on Twitch and I also have it going on X, so that way I can stream on all three of those platforms. So I'm just making sure I set it up correctly, making sure that like for some reason in Restream it doesn't have Diablo 4 as a game you can select, so you have to type it in manually. And I just wanted to make sure that it was streaming under the Diablo 4 on Twitch. And then I'm just making sure that the chat syncs up to the Restream app, so that way I see the chat on my phone, because I don't have a second monitor and my tablet got broken. My 4-year-old lost it under the chair and then it got smashed. So I am trying to make sure that I can see the chat from YouTube and on Twitch on the Restream app, so that way I can answer people if they're talking to me. Just kind of testing out everything to make sure it's working. So I want to start streaming on all of the platforms, but I need to make sure it works. And I'm not the most tech savvy person. It's not my background. But the stream quality's coming through. Seems like it's going through pretty well on all the platforms. I don't see any lag or anything. And I can't, unfortunately, X doesn't allow you to, unfortunately, X doesn't allow you to reply back to chat. Not yet, anyway, from Restream. Kind of sucks. Give me just a minute. I'm just muting my mic real fast. All right. Can you hear me decent enough? Can you let me know if the volume's too high, too low, or if it's just right? Low? Is the volume on your phone up? And then I'm gonna go, let me swap out. One point. Check check the other apps. Check YouTube and check Twitch. And just type in those chats. Say low, good, or high. I think I might need to adjust my settings in OBS to make sure I don't get any lag. Let's see, we'll just go over here, mess around a little bit. This sounds good on Twitch. Okay. Go over to YouTube and test it out there. So it's good there too. My mic's good. The sound of the game isn't too loud. Everything's good there. So just on X, it seems to be a little bit low. Go back to X and just let me know. And just type in chat there. The game has no sound? What has no sound? Yes, no sound. I don't... More specific, what is it? What exactly has no sound? Oh, the game on X has no sound. Yeah, just type in X chat if you can hear me. If the sound is just too low on X, I'll have to figure that out. I need to make a Petrify version of this. I like the Cataclysm ring, but honestly, it's just Petrify is just more convenient. need scrolls so I can push pit. I'm gonna push pit on landslide, just plain landslide instead of storm slide. I like the sound of landslide better. It sounds cooler. Oh, heavy weapon. I always take heavy weapons. I messed up my character I wanted to push with, but that's alright. I have multiple characters. No sound on X. So it's just not showing up on X at all? Hold on. Let me go back and see. I might have to change the settings in my OBS in order to get it to show up on X all the way. Let me go back real quick. I just want to kill this. I might need to go ahead and put Howl on here. Just to make sure I don't have to constantly use 12. Give me the mine cage. I don't need anything else. There's, of course it's going to be all the way down here. Alright, let me get this chest real fast, and then I'll head back to town, and I will go over to my X account. Hold on. Give me just a second. Go to yeah, go over, do me a favor, and I'll look at your text in just a second, and then I'll be going to my, I just have to grab this chest real fast, and then I'm going to go ahead and move over to a town, and then check it out on my X account, and see if I can't fix it or something. I'm not sure why it stopped showing up, but probably has something to do with my settings. Okay, back to town. Let me see real fast. It's really convenient to have all my messages coming into it says I'm live. It's showing up on mine. It's showing on my phone that my stream is still up. Maybe go back and check again. Let me see. I don't want to mess up the volume on my... I don't want to have echo in my mic real quick. All right, I'm getting both. I'm getting both the game volume and my mic on X. Seems like it's working across everything, but my mic does sound a little bit loud on X. I don't know if I can fix that though. Maybe I can look in the settings. But it seems to be running pretty smooth. All right, I have the chat back up. Yeah, I can see. Are you still there? We don't need no vulnerable damage. We don't need that. Yeah, see if you can't refresh it. Just refresh it or make sure you have the audio on. Make sure you have the audio on your X app. Because sometimes you'll overlook your audio. It's not on. I'm gonna go unlock this teleporter real fast. Need to get a little bit more cooldown on my ultimate. A little cooldown, and then a little cooldown or maybe a little duration would be good. I think I have a GA to cooldown. I'm sure I do. God, I've probably killed. I don't know, maybe I don't. Are you getting any sound or anything? Are you getting sound? The game is a little bit harder to hear, but my mic is coming through pretty heavy on X. I don't know. I'd have, like I said, I have to check the settings to see if there's anything I can do to fix the audio without actually messing with my mic volume here. Maybe I can turn it down in OBS for X. Tell you one really nice thing on the PTR, they don't have the living still chests anymore. They're just all basic chests, so they just increase the amount of living still you get out of the normal chests that you get while you're farming a Helltide, which is kind of nice because living still chests kind of suck. You never got items out of them and you just got living still. It's kind of lame. It's a nice little change. Is there a chest nearby? Make sure I at least get... Oh, that's, no, I won't be able to get that. That's okay. I don't really care. Yeah, it has to be, because I can hear it on my phone. I can hear it on mine, and I can hear the game sound on mine on X. I just can't, it just sounds really loud. Really loud. I'm gonna put this scroll in the chest. Because that's really all I need right now are scrolls. That there, that too. Let's see what's going on. Let me go over here. I still haven't actually finished the entire mission set. Yeah, everything else seems to be working fine. Twitch is good. YouTube is good. X, I can hear the sound. It's just a little high, in my opinion, on the mic. It doesn't seem like I'm having any lag either. Max life. They need a sell all button too. Sell it all. How many points? I have 3. I do. I think if I just get points into Endless Tempest, we'll be good. I don't really feel like upgrading this gear, honestly. Actually, might swap out these Tybalt's Will. I might actually sell all of those Stygian stones. I don't really need to do any bossing. I don't really want to do any bossing, to be honest.
Don't be a stranger. come back soon.
I wonder if I have to refresh it every time I can't see my stream. I'd like to make sure I can always see my stream. Oh, Malignant Heart. I think I'll get rid of the Debilitating Roar. I ain't doing that. I don't like the events and dungeons. They're not rewarding enough to sit around. Some are pretty good for leveling, though. Don't I have another ring? Oh yeah, it has Petrify cooldown, unfortunately. Let's see. We'll just throw him in Undaunted. Can't go wrong with Undaunted. I wish you could get scrolls from doing the pit. That'd be nice. Then I could just farm the pit for scrolls. It's been a minute since I was on this build anyway. Sounding game lower, sound effects. Okay. Let me see. Sound in the game. I want to turn it down too loud. I don't have any music in the background, so it kind of makes it. We'll leave. I guess we'll turn down effects to like 15. Does that sound better, Pepper? It's always so hard to know because people listening on mobile, people listening on PC, it's harder to kind of like get a solid setting for my mic. Let's do a pit. Just in case you don't know, Pepper, I'm streaming on multiple platforms. So I'm on YouTube and I'm on X as well. And I'm testing out to make sure everything kind of sounds good across the board. Seems like my X, the audio on the mic is high, but I don't know if I might be able to change that in the settings through OBS. And if you do hear anything weird in the background, it's probably my son running around on his little walker making funny noises. Yeah, they're going to have to buff Pulverize pretty heavily, I think. Something else that was crazy on the PTR is them dropping our HP. We no longer get the HP gems. Man, that's going to hurt Overpower a lot. They're going to really need to buff it up quite a bit. Such a fun build to play, but they've kind of gutted it over and over again. Different changes they've made through each season. I like the double tempering and everything, but it still doesn't have that same level of damage, not even close to anything like Landslide. Just too slow. Even when you jack up the attack speed, it's still just really slow in terms of your damage output because you're always looking for overpowers, and that's really the only way you can deal your damage. I feel like they'd have to, like, I don't know, double or triple the damage your base Pulverize does. Because even if you could overpower 100% of the time, I feel like, yeah, I don't know, that might be a little too powerful. Maybe 50% of the time. I feel like if you could overpower like half the time, your damage would be pretty good. Depending on how high you can get your overpowers. I don't know, maybe that's too excessive. But I'd rather take excessive now, because Pulverize is pretty bad. Comparatively to other builds. Not by itself, it's just fun. It's a fun build. Definitely going to be better in the next season, but it's not even close. It's a bit better? Okay. Do you feel like it still needs to go down a little bit? I can pull it down to like 20. I think maybe 20. Is it just the sound effects while fighting? The music? I might be able to pull the pull that volume down instead of the master volume. I better be careful. I forgot I put my scroll in the chest. Yeah, I don't know if these Wildheart boots are really good for Pulverize. I feel like it just doesn't sync up as well. There we go. Back-to-back Pulverizes. Yeah, when you get the damage going with your overpowers, it feels pretty good. Until then, it just feels bad. Not hitting too bad with without min-maxing everything. Still pretty decent. You see how long it's taking to do a tier 100, even with the way I have it set up right now. Yeah. Oh, you got it? Good. Good. Mob's noise during death, etc. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll turn down that. And I'll turn down the master volume again, see if that kind of solves the issue. That should kind of fix, I guess, maybe turn this down to 10. Bunch of trash items. I think I'm going to run my landslide with a staff just for the attack speed. Try to get a GA staff. Just for fun. Toss this in the chest. You know, something they needed to still do some fixing on. They definitely needed to fix the enchanting system. The enchanting system still takes way too much to get the enchantment you want. I spent so much gold, like billions of gold, billions and billions of gold on the PTR trying to get Venom on an amulet. Same with the, I don't really like the fact that they're using a consumable scroll to reset your masterworks either. Not your masterworks, but your temperings. I feel like what they need to do is have an enchantment-like system in masterworking to let you keep your previously rolled temper, and then just reduce the amount of temperings you can get in each recipe to 3, and it'd probably be perfect. Like, maybe give you a few more temperings, because I still feel like the sad part is, like, you get an item, you get the right temperings you want, but you want better values, but you're terrified to roll it. So you end up keeping it with like 6 re-rolls left because you don't want to brick the item. It's kind of unfortunate. Does that sound better? Does it sound like my mic is coming through loud on X? I feel like it does on my phone. And how's this sound, the game sound now, Pepper? Twitch and YouTube's? That's awesome. Thank you for helping me out with that, by the way. I appreciate you. Yo, Shred is looking pretty good in my opinion. I had a lot of people trying to like give me nonsense about it, like, oh, it's this bug and that bug, and I'm like, bro, like, even without the bugs, Shred was definitely hitting significantly harder in the PTR. And on top of that, like, I was clearing like a tier 85 without the bug helmet or the bug aspect. So that's like 60 multiplicative damage I dropped, and I was just running an Endariel's Visage without the aspect, and it was still doing quite well in my opinion. I think people just get a false sense of like where the game is because of broken builds or things that are just overtuned. And honestly, I felt like Shred was one of those builds where I don't even think they need to. I mean, I feel like they're going to adjust the numbers regardless, just because of how crazy the numbers were after the stat squish. But it was one of those that I felt like they almost have it in a nice place, like maybe a little bit more damage. And with the way they've kind of laid out all of the aspects that you can put on it. And as long as they, what they need to do with the gibbous, yeah, see, here's the thing with gibbous though. What they need to do with gibbous, they basically have to rework it all over again. So this is just my opinion. I'm gonna make a video on it today. I'm gonna kind of go over all the skills and stuff. I just want to do my test stream to make sure I have everything set up for when I multi-stream. But what they need to do with the waxing gibbous is they're going to have to rework it. They need to put ranks to Envenom instead of ranks to Toxic Claws. And then what they need to do is add chance to cast Shred twice. Or I think it's deal damage twice with Shred. I'm not sure which one it is, but they need to add that to the weapon now. Because, I mean, if you're going to use... it's the only way you can make the gibbous worth using. Because now that it has a double cast temper, everything has to have either a double damage or double cast temper. So they're going to have to put that on the gibbous as well as ranks to Envenom. If they did that, added ranks to Envenom, it would kind of make up for the fact that you lose the two-hand aspect. And I think it would really put Shred at least A tier, maybe even S tier, depending on how they readjust the game. But yeah, gibbous, in order for you not to run a two-hand staff, like gibbous has to be reworked. There's no way around it. Like, the rework they did was nice, but now that they've added double damage or double cast tempers to every single damage skill, they need to go ahead and add that to the waxing gibbous, because there's no reason to run it without that. The only reason why I say Envenom is just because it would be a nice way to add some damage to Shred without directly increasing the damage of it. But if they just increased the damage of it and just added a chance to cast twice or whatever it is, I can't remember if it was double damage or chance to cast twice instead of Toxic Claws, I think it would be good. As long as they buffed up the probably a little bit, maybe like 20%, 30% damage buff to the base skill would be pretty good. I feel like Pulverize needs like 200%, or they need to give us more options to guarantee overpower. A lot of the problem lies in the fact that a lot of the overpowers with Pulverize come on like timings or after enemy kills. I feel like things like Obsidian Slam should just be like a direct percentage increase to overpower, like 5% more or 10% more chance to overpower. Because the way that it currently sits, it just feels bad. Even though they're adding the chance to cast Pulverize twice, which is really nice, the damage between overpowers is so poor that even when you get an overpower, it just kind of like... And the fact that they're cutting our HP, like all the HP gems are gone too. First they took away all the damage reduction, now they're taking away all the HP gems. That's kind of sad. Hey, what's up, Kettle? What's up, brother? I'm streaming on multiple platforms right now. I'm testing it out. I agree, Kettle. You know what I thought was funny, bro, is the fact that the new skill is a channeling skill and it can't overpower, and the aspect makes you want to tap it. So you have a channeling skill that you're not going to channel, you're going to rapidly tap it, but it can't overpower. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't even know who put that together, but it's like they weren't really thinking about the character and how how things are designed in the game. There's no way in this world you would put a channeling skill in the game with an aspect that makes you play it by not channeling it. Instead, you're tapping it, and then you can't overpower, which is a massive way of dealing damage with earth skills. I probably said that a few times here and there, but that to me was completely ridiculous. It didn't make any sense. Like, it doesn't make any good sense. It just seems like they didn't even think about how they were designing the skill. And in my opinion, it just looks boring, but I don't think anybody got an exciting skill. I know Sort got like a companion skill that kind of seemed really lame. A lot of our passives are good. I like the fact that they're giving us incentive to stay in human form. The problem is just Wildheart boots are still insanely powerful. I mean, Bestial Rampage plus 50% is crazy. So maybe they'll do something with that. Maybe they'll create some more uniques. Rogues. Yeah, a lot of Rogue's always been the most reliable class. I always say, like, if people are having a problem, like questioning which class should they play, just play Rogue. Has good mobility, good damage every single season. Pretty exciting to play for most players, like depending on their obviously play style. Yeah, I've seen a lot of cool gameplay footage on it, man. I was pretty surprised. But it looks like a lot of fun. Looks like a lot of fun. I'm kind of disappointed that like the best build for Druid is going to potentially the best build for Druid is going to be something like a Singing Bear build, Singing Wolf or Singing Bear. Honestly, either one you can do. Just Bear is more powerful. Just kind of feels a little bit lame. I don't know. I know some people like those builds. I just find it to be kind of lame that that's the build. It's like, and it's another way. Again, they're kind of hand holding you into that build because they buffed up everything so high. The willpower was so high. They buffed everything up so much that they're just kind of like, you want to play this. It's not like it doesn't happen organically. It's the same thing with like the Earthbreaker ring. They buffed everything up so much, and it's like it's not an organic way of finding out something is good. It's obvious to anybody who kind of understands the mechanics of the game. You're like, oh yeah, that's going to be really good next season. And you know what's funny? Also, I haven't found a fully maxed out Calm Breeze aspect this season, and I've salvaged a lot of gear. So I feel like that's another issue they're going to have to solve. I feel like there are several aspects that I've gotten pretty unlucky with. Let me go back here and then go to the Tree of Whispers. I'm pretty happy, though, with a lot of the tempers. The one thing I will say, they didn't move, and I'm going to add this into my video when I talk about the skills. They did not move the duration in Grizzly Rage. They didn't move that to the utility skill, the utility tempers. So it's still as an offensive temper. So when you go to like temper your weapon, that's one you pick. And unfortunately, I feel like you don't want to pick it. Like you want to pick something else, like chance to crit with Earth skill, something like that. So you can guarantee that you get your pulverized to crit on an overpower. And they need to move that to the utility tempering so that way you can jack up the duration of your Grizzly Rage. I don't know why they didn't do it. Yeah, I don't really need it, man. I already did my build for the season. It is what it is. No one wants to play that build anyway just because it's really, it's just kind of like not as fun. That's too single target oriented. There's no elixir, to kind of negate that single target, that lack of AoE, I should say. So no one's really going to play it. Like, although I was surprised by how good the Shard was. I will say, like I said in the video, I feel like it's a perfect example of why the Druid needs a dedicated two-hand weapon slot, because the Shard is so good, and if you could put that Shard with like a Crone Staff, you would have a really good Stormclaw build. But I don't think they honestly want to make... I don't think they want to make your basic skills as powerful or anywhere near as powerful as your core skills. So I think what I have, like I said, I'm going to make that video today, but in my opinion, what they should do is they should try to incorporate ways of proccing your core skills with your basic skills, with uniques, so that way you can make those builds. One way I was thinking about making Stormclaw viable in a season while maintaining their desire to not make your basic skills, as strong as a core skill, was if they took the Crone Staff, and instead of it giving you this kind of lame buff to your damage for your Stormclaw or whatever, your Storm Strike or whatever, What if instead they gave you like a 50% chance to cast Lightning Storm at your target destination on crits with basic skills? So basically, when you use your Crone Staff, you're still using your Stormclaw, but you're using your Stormclaw to proc Lightning Storm, and then you're getting the damage of that core skill, and you're still getting the enjoyment of playing a Stormclaw build. That can potentially be competitive in the meta without making basic skills incredibly overpowered and pointless to play anything else. And that's kind of where I was leaning into it. I'm trying to think about how they might make something good, and it doesn't seem like they want to boost up basic skills like that. And I would do the same thing for something like Earth Spike, where you could cast Earth Spike and there's a chance to proc Landslide along your Earth Spike. Same thing with Wind Shear. You could do like a Wind Shear, cast Tornadoes, or I actually like the way Calm Breeze scales with the poison damage. So maybe they could create like an interesting, unique item that will allow your Wind Shear to fracture into multiple Wind Shears and hit multiple targets. I think that would be pretty cool. Because I'd like to see basic skills be good, but I don't think they're going to buff up the overall damage anymore. And the scaling is terrible. Like, the scaling is always bad because the damage is so low. And then I also feel like Tornado needs the Ascetic Wrap unique for Tornadoes, because Tornadoes absolutely terrible now. I was actually surprised by how good Lightning Storm was on the PTR. Lightning Storm was really fun to play. With the attack speed and the double cast, like the chance to deal double damage with your Lightning Storm bolts, it actually felt really good to play Lightning Storm. I almost felt like it was on par with like Storm Slide because of how fast you can cast your Lightning Storm. And because you always have Petrify with the Rune Word, you can run around with the Mjolnir Ring, and you'll always have resources. So you can have both the damage from that, the damage from the Cataclysm, as well as always casting Petrify. So, and you're standing still, so it kind of works really well together. That's what I did on the PTR with Lightning Storm. It felt really good. Like, they just need to do something. I didn't get a chance to test out any basic skills. Did I test out any basic skills? I did. Honestly, I tried to do a Maul Rabies build where you could basically apply Rabies by hitting crits and Grizzly Rage with Maul, and it just felt terrible. Because I thought maybe that could be a potential build for the season. Not a top build, but just something fun to play. I did not test out the Stormclaw or Earth Spike builds, but honestly, there really wasn't anything significant that was changed that would impact those builds differently in a way that would scale them up higher, that didn't already impact every other build that existed in the game that was good on the Druid. I did not do the Zenith with Shred because I felt like the Zenith ring... What was it? I was going to use the Zenith with it, but... What? I got to think back to when I was doing it. It's a good ring. No doubt it's a good ring. But I think it was resources or something like that. I think there was something resource-wise. I wanted to make sure I maintained my resources. I can't remember exactly. Or it had to do with an aspect or something like that. But Zenith Ring is definitely a great ring for quick shift builds in the season. I don't know if Shred needs it. I mean, Shred was just hammering some damage. Yes, with the bugs, but without the bugs too. I was able to clear all the bosses on the PTR without the bugged items on Shred. I kind of got a lot of hate over on Reddit because I posted out the videos and people just, I don't know, they just want... I almost think people want things to be overpowered because of how underpowered they've been for a while. I will say the one thing they need to change on Shred is Blurred Beast. It's absolutely atrocious. Definitely needs to be changed. Yeah, they definitely have to. Yeah. So the something too I want to like with Shred. I think if they just changed, I like the fact that they have like combos. It's kind of cool, right? It's like interesting. It adds a little bit of different feel for the skill. But the unfortunate part about it is, it leaves you with no key passive to pick other than Bestial Rampage. Especially now that they've basically taken Grizzly Rage down and made it more of an overpower. You're not really, not Grizzly Rage, but Earthsign Strength. You're not really going to be playing around with Earthsign Strength too much. Lupine Ferocity, I think it would be nice if I was to say like how I would make Lupine Ferocity work and maintain the on every third werewolf werewolf skill or whatever. You would have to basically make Shred a single cast instead of one cast giving you multiple hits, every cast giving you a single hit, and then up the damage quite significantly, probably around like the third hit range. You could still keep the aspect to give you a fourth hit on Shred, but maybe every fourth hit with Shred hit with that multiplicative damage bonus. And then you would actually find value in Lupine Ferocity. It's just because of the way Shred is structured, you'll never get any benefit out of it if they keep maintaining the on this hit, because you're going to try to sync it up with now the fourth hit of Shred, which is going to be a pain in the neck. You're not going to do it, and it's just going to make that passive absolutely terrible. So I don't know if they wanted to keep Shred, if they wanted to keep that passive the way it is without reworking it completely, which would probably be the easier option, just to rework the passive instead of rework Shred. They would have to basically make Shred a single cast skill, lower the amount, the spirit cost, increase the damage, and then you could still keep the combo hits. Yeah, but see, here's the thing though. Every build was bugged out. Like every top build was bugged out except for like the Singing Bear because they jacked up willpower. So getting on top of me about me showcasing a build, even if it has bugs, it's like, bro, every single build was bugged to hell. Like every build was bugged. Are you kidding me? Like I can't show you a single build without a bug. They're all bugged. The idea that I have to like tell you on a PTR that something is bugged is just silly to me. Like that's just silly. I'm on a PTR. Obviously it's bugged. Like obviously they're going to be bugs. I don't know what you want me to do about that. There were builds clearing tier 100s faster. I don't even think my stuff even was on the radar, to be honest. Like, what did my tier 100 clear on YouTube get, like 1K views? It's just silly. Like, just because I show that something can happen, and then I even showcase the Shred without the bugs, clearing a tier 85 with 50% crit chance. Okay, not even an optimized setup. I just simply swapped out the helmet, swapped out the aspect, didn't even optimize it, overcapped on attack speed and everything, and I cleared a tier 85. And then, of course, I hear like, oh, well, you cleared tier 85. That's nothing. There are builds clear. But it's like, well, wait a second. If you're clearing a tier 85 without optimization on a Shred build in Torment 4, you're killing everything else in Torment 4. Every single boss you're going to be able to solo, including Echo of Lilith. The idea that Shred was anywhere near as bad as it is now is just laughable. It's not even like I can't even take your opinion serious at that point. Like it is better, but it's not great. It could be better. They need to increase the damage more. They need to give us more options outside of Bestial Rampage and Quick Shift. But, to act like it's trash is just silly. Like, sure, trash compared to what? Like, builds that are doing, infinitely stacking damage, like what Rob showed with Whirlwind? Like, what are we talking about here? like builds that aren't going to be around in after the PTR, or builds that might slip through the crack and but I mean, I can't necessarily blame people. It's more or less Blizzard's fault for not properly balancing everything, or at least bug fixing, quicker, because people get a false sense of what the meta is. I don't think it's going to be that easy, though. I honestly don't think it's going to be easy. I don't think they intended for people to be blowing through. But see, here's the problem. That's what happens when you just blindly slap on multipliers to all of your glyphs. Like, why would you do that? And to think that those aren't even the most powerful glyphs. The most powerful glyphs are the ones that are going to give us a ton of base stat, as well as a massive multiplier that we didn't even get our hands on. And the fact that we're also going to get mercenaries. And there's also going to be a seasonal mechanic, apparently. So there are plenty of things we still haven't incorporated into our builds that are going to increase our player power. And they just arbitrarily slap on multipliers to every single glyph. And they're like, oh yeah, we stat squished. But it's like, bro, you gave us more power than we've ever had before. And it just, I will say this though. I will say that you may have an easier time clearing stuff. But on the flip side, you could die so fast. I will say that. Like, you could literally get deleted in a second on the PTR. Like, you had no health at all. DR was very, DR is what DR is now. It's hard to come by. You basically had to go with, I'll say this. I ran my Shred build with Tyrael's Might, capped out res, 85%, armor capped out, and I was getting popped easily at times. Like, it would depend on what enemies I was fighting, but there were several enemies that would just pop me immediately without even like a second to outplay the mechanic. And of course, one of them was the electrified obelisk enemy, which is to the idea that enemy, that electrified obelisk, does that much damage that quickly. Like, they need to adjust that specific monster modifier. It's way too powerful. It's like an electricity turret that zeroes you without an opportunity to actually outplay the mechanic. So I will say that it was easier. I don't think it's going to stay like that. But you could die at the drop of a hat. Like, you could die very easily. So I hope I can figure something out early on in hardcore, because I don't know if I'll want to push to like tier 100 because of how easy it was to die there. I feel like the mechanics are just really powerful. Where's the weapon? I'm trying to get a better staff. I'm going to make a pure landslide setup for pit pushing. I pushed, what am I saying? I pushed to 130, and then I just stopped playing around in the pit because I got bored. But I figure since it's the end of the season, I'll go ahead and try it out. Oh, I agree, Pepper. Man, let me tell you, that too. Like, you literally picked the best skills from Barb and from Druid, like Petrify and Warcry. You picked the best skills and put them as rune words, and everything else was just trash. I don't even know, like, I don't even know why you would even use a teleport, to be honest. Like, teleport's fun in D2 because you could actually make it useful. But most of the content in D3, most of the content we've had so far, what are you going to use teleport inside of Infernal Hordes? Like, why would you use teleport there? What value would it bring you, inside of Infernal Hordes? There was some utility to it. I think it gave you Unstoppable and this. But it's like there are other forms of Unstoppable you can get. I just don't see the same value in teleport as there was in previous Diablos. But yeah, I mean, you're basically just standing there with constant Petrify, constant Warcry. You're not going to pick anything else. A crit multiplier and a straight damage multiplier that you get every, 6 seconds? That basically gives you 100% uptime on Petrify, 100% uptime on Warcry, depending on how you which one you set up. So yeah, I don't think they were really thinking that through. Now I will say though, it will depend on how common that you can actually get those runes. Like, what if it's incredibly uncommon for you to get the runes to create those specific rune words? A lot of things we're basing off is the ease of access to that we had on the PTR to those specific runes. And if those runes are incredibly rare to the point where you can't find them, which would basically negate the purpose of actually having them in the game, but I don't know, you know. If the runes were incredibly rare, then I guess I could understand. But then the problem is like your gatekeeping builds, right? Your gatekeeping builds for people who can't grind 24/7. So, I don't know. Not sure exactly how I feel. I like to see, you know, what they do with the feedback. I hope they, I just hope they make those other rune words just a lot more potent. Or just have some general utility that you can argue applying them to your build. Because if I can have Petrify and Warcry all the time, I'm not going to pick anything else. There's no point to pick anything else. Let me go back down here, open up some chests. I'm trying to farm up scrolls. I accidentally, I was playing on my Xbox, and I did not realize, I don't know, I lost one of my characters that I had all my scrolls on. So, I always die on my Xbox. If I'm ever on my PC, I'm fine. If I'm on my Xbox, I die. It's like bad luck, but the convenience of playing on my Xbox, it's kind of nice. But the latency can be pretty harmful. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's hard to say if it's lazy as much as it wasn't like, I don't know if they really thought about. I like the idea of having class, like dipping into other classes' skills. I find that to be pretty cool. That's a cool idea. We already get similar to what rune words give us with other items, like unique items, things like that. We already get the stats and some of the different changes that it gives you to your skills. We kind of get that from other items already. So they had to have implemented it in a way that gave you something different while still maintaining the idea that it's a rune word. And I think dipping into other classes' abilities is kind of cool. I don't know if giving you the most powerful skills of another class is really that smart, though. Like, to give other builds Petrify probably might not be the best idea, right? Like, to give other classes Warcry might not be the best idea. I don't know. Maybe other aspects, you know, like different ways of making certain classes' skills a little bit better through a rune word. I'm not sure exactly. They did say, though, like if a class was to use a rune word that would use a skill from their class, it would be much better, like more powerful on that class. I didn't necessarily see that, but I honestly didn't really, I mean, what, Petrify is all I really played around with after. I tested them all out, but ended up coming back to Petrify and Warcry pretty fast. I think it's also the time frame we have for doing the PTR. I mean, it's like we have to rush through everything. And the fact that the first couple, what is it, the first 2 days of the PTR was up, we didn't have access to everything, which I actually liked. I like that they finally implemented that. However, I will say that they did not give us access to infinite ancestrals, which made us have to basically roll new character. I basically reset, I made a character that I titled items, and I would just reset that character over and over again to get a full set of ancestrals, so I didn't have to roll them at the vendor. So it made it where I couldn't test a lot of the uniques that I wanted to test out. Like I did want to do a thorough test on like the gibbous, but I wasn't about to farm up balsing materials just to go farm a gibbous. I wasn't going to do that. Like that's not what I wanted to do at all. It's another reason why I didn't do like Stormclaw. I did post out on X. Adam Fletcher didn't respond to me, but I was like, you know, it would be interesting if they would give us a full list of bugs that currently exist in the game that they're working on, so that way we wouldn't redundantly port things that they already know about. And it would also be kind of cool if they would make a list of bugs that players found that they weren't aware of, and they could do that easily. Like it wouldn't take too much time at all. And I thought that would be kind of a nice way of like showing players that they did, you know, they helped out a lot on the PTR, but also letting us know that they're aware of stuff that needs to be fixed. So that way people were like, okay, we don't need to report that over and over again. Let me go look at my... I'm going to hop out of this Helltide and go over to... Probably just need to use all these gills first. Oh, there we go. I'm trying to get scrolls. That's all I'm looking for, really. I'm not looking for anything specific. Maybe a good two-hand item, two-hand staff, something like that, but... Oh yeah, I know they have a known issue thread on the PTR. I'm more interested to know what they didn't know. Like they're not going to post everything about like all the little bugs that they know about already. I'm more interested in knowing like what bugs that have been around. Like for instance, the bug that sticks you in place when you cast Metamorphosis. That bug's been around since Season 2 when we first had Metamorphosis. Like, and it's honestly a really bad bug for hardcore because sometimes you'll evade and you'll get stuck in place and you can't actually control your character. It would be nice to know that they're aware of it and that they're working on fixing it so that people wouldn't report it when it happens to them, right? Like, okay, I know that you guys know that this is a thing. Because I know that they've said they fixed it a couple times and it's still not fixed. So, like, that's what I'm talking about. And then also, there are things that they're aware of generally, but I wonder, like, what they wouldn't have found out, right? Like, I think they would find out certain things without our feedback, obviously. So, it would be kind of cool to understand, like, what they wouldn't find out. I don't know. Sound like Onyx the Fortuitous over here. I don't know. I don't know. I know something I didn't know because I haven't really played around with Rampaging Werebeast is that the aspect doesn't actually multiply your crit damage. So that was something new that I found out. It's like the aspect doesn't multiply your crit damage. It's additive, not multiplicative. So that's another bug that they'd have to kind of hammer out. Especially because I feel like they're kind of, making Grizzly Rage really good. Unfortunately, I think that what I found out, too, on the PTR is that I prefer the overpower giving you duration to your Grizzly Rage far more than I actually like the killing an enemy. So I would prefer them to actually change the entire way you get duration to every time you overpower you get 5 seconds. Because what happens in the pit is that eventually you scale the pit so high that you can't kill packs of enemies fast enough that you get the duration that you're looking for to maintain your Grizzly Rage all the time. And when you're fighting bosses, like maintaining your Grizzly Rage 100% of the time was super, super easy. Yeah, basically a back. Just kind of let people know. Yeah, well, just to let people know they're aware of the bug, and that way we don't report on it, like redundant reporting on the same bug they're already aware of. It would just be kind of. I'm sure it wouldn't take that long. All they would need to do is just compile a list and then have some community manager post it out on a on their forums. It wouldn't take too long. And then as they fix things, they just, every now and again, maybe during a patch or something, they just go through and, clear off the things that they've done. I don't think people would. I think it would be very helpful, in my opinion. I could be wrong, though. So. Oh, too, now that you mentioned Boulder there, something I was really happy with it, honestly. I tested out the knockback on the Dolmen Stone amulet, and it feels way better. Like, boulders, the enemies still kind of have that nice animation where they're getting pushed around by your boulders, but they're far more stationary. Like, you still have to move a little bit, but it's nowhere near as exaggerated as the knockback is currently. But something I wish they would do with the boulder, they need to rework the boulder temper, because they made the double cast boulder temper before they capped the Dolmenstone amulet, and then they capped the Dolmenstone amulet at 10 boulders, and you don't really get any benefit of double casting the boulder. In fact, sometimes you can actually mess up your overpowered boulders because of the double cast. So I think what they need to do is either raise the amount of boulders you can have in a hurricane at any given time, or they need to change the double cast temper to a chance to deal double damage. Probably the latter, because I think it'd be much easier just to change it to chance to deal double damage. I don't think you're going to get any benefit of a double cast. Although, now you can have a ridiculously long hurricane, which is kind of nice. I'm glad they're actually adding utility tempers that we want to use. But overall, a lot of the changes they made, I was pretty happy about. Like, they did I'll give them that. They did a fairly decent job on a lot of the, smaller things. But obviously, unfortunately, like, the damage tuning is what everybody was going to talk about, because it was insane, the amount of damage that people were doing. But they did make a lot of nice changes. I like the bossing changes that they made. I will say, though, when you kill a boss, it doesn't feel as good just because you don't get that massive amount of loot. I don't know. Maybe they could change that. Maybe they could do something special. Add something extra there. Yeah, hurricane scales with the duration. Like you're talking about the tempest aspect, right? Yeah, it scales. If that's what your question is, yes, it does scale with the duration. And you can hit pretty dang hard with hurricane now. Like it's definitely not my type of build I like to play, but if you really enjoy the build, it is definitely more viable than it's ever been. Because you can stack out hurricane duration on every single utility tempering, and you can get a hurricane that literally lasts probably close to I would say probably close to 30 seconds or more, maybe even closer to 45 seconds a minute. If you added it on every single thing, you could get it fairly long, especially with Endless Tempest ranks. You get your Endless Tempest ranks on your Mjolnir ring. You're going to have a hurricane that lasts a long time. And yeah, it definitely continuously stacks with the Tempest aspect. I did test that. I didn't test the full damage of it. I just kind of slapped it on and watched it kind of stack up as my hurricane lasted longer and longer. So that's definitely a possible build. Probably one of the... It's probably going to be a pretty strong build, to be honest. Because there's a lot of things that people didn't get a chance to test out. And more of the... I guess the more popular stuff that got tested, you know, like Singing Bear. I tested Shred pretty well. That stuff kind of... Like Hurricane didn't really get looked at. I wanted to test out a Stampede build, like just a regular Stampede, to see if you could jack up the damage on Stampede and just constantly cast Stampede without the aftershock, not aftershock, but trample slide. None of that. I just straight up Stampede, or what am I saying? Trample. I meant to say trample. I wanted to test that out, but I didn't get a chance to. Just trample everywhere. Run people over with just your bear. I thought that would be kind of fun to test out. Yeah, PoE 2 looks like a lot of fun. I never really got into ARPGs during the early days of Path of Exile. I didn't play them too much. I was more playing like third-person shooter style games. So by the time I got back into ARPGs, I was a little bit too far out on PoE 1 to really, I think, enjoy it. I played it a little bit when it first, like, close to when it first came out. But after that, I didn't really mess around with it too much. Yeah, it is nice to have a lot of wolves. It would just be nice if those wolves were also really smart. Because what they end up doing is just standing there and not really doing too much. Also, it was nice that they added a way of making your ravens lightning damage. My problem is they made it an aspect. I wish they would have just made it where your Storm Companion Pants made your ravens lightning damage too. And then you would actually be able to scale it better, but because it takes up an aspect slot, and it's like every single time they do something that makes the skill actually useful in a way, they make it an aspect, or they make it a unique item. And it's like, we don't have that space for an aspect or unique item on the Druid. We don't have multiple slots. And the fact they keep doing that makes it where, even though it's a really cool thing to have, we don't use it because there's just a better way of scaling your damage. Like, why wouldn't you just use another offensive aspect that scales the damage of your wolves, because they're always going to be better than your ravens. So it would have been nice if they had just added, make your ravens lightning infused as well, or storm infused, whatever. Because I think it'd be fun to have that. The wolves going, the ravens going. I'm very happy they added a new passive, though, for companions. So that was nice. Having that new passive. Now we just need a companion ultimate that gives us a grizzly bear. And then subsequently make your grizzly bear a lightning grizzly bear. But the way it currently is, I just feel like they always add in something with a unique item or an aspect, and they really need to kind of bring it down some. They need to combine certain aspects. They need to add certain aspects into skills to make the skills better, because the aspect doesn't warrant it being an aspect, and the skill's not good enough that adding an aspect to it would make it overpowered. Like, take Tornado, for example. Tornado is a perfect example of taking Storm Chaser, putting it right into the Tornado skill, making your tornadoes actually hit enemies, and then you could turn Storm Chaser aspect into something else. something that gives tornado more damage. Maybe like, for instance, when your tornadoes collide, they form a larger tornado that deals X amount more damage. Something cool like that, to where it's like you have a massive tornado on screen and it's just killing enemies. Or they could change Storm Chaser to make it where your tornadoes hover over enemies. So you may not directly increase the damage of tornado, but because your tornadoes are now hovering over an enemy and not flying all over the place, you're increasing the damage indirectly by allowing it to hit the enemy more often. So it's like you can do these things, but the way they have tornado weight, the way it currently works, they haven't really changed it after they've nerfed this and changed this and done that. So it's like Storm Chaser just doesn't feel as impactful. And I think like I said, you could just add that aspect into the skill and then make Storm Chaser into something else. They could do that with quite a few aspects, in my opinion. There are so many aspects they could do that with. What's the one that gives you, I think it's like Bloodhowl, like Bloodhowl and the aspect, I can't remember, I think it's like Howl or something, I don't remember. But the aspect that makes it where it has crit chance and affects your allies, just put that right into Bloodhowl. Like, there's no reason not to. It's not like it's super overpowered. It's also a shout now. So why don't you just make Bloodhowl, give you some crit chance, add some attack speed with you pick up the passive, and then it also applies to all of your allies. So it has some utility while you're in a party. Because no one's going to put an aspect on there to buff up Bloodhowl. Like, no one's going to do that. So it would just be nice if they did something like that. Just combine those into the skills, because I don't think it's going to make it overpowered. I think it's just going to make it useful. I mean, that's how I kind of think at the end of the day. I don't want things to be overpowered. I don't really like that. I actually find that boring. But I do want them to be useful, and I do want them to be an option for players. And that's what I feel like we're sorely missing in a lot of situations. We're missing options. I feel like every single season we just kind of funnel into one build that generally works across the board and is so far and ahead of every other build that it's obvious like this is going to be the best build. I think Season 4 was probably the best season in terms of like overall viability for the Druid. There was so many builds, but Season 5, we're right back to using Landslide or Storm Slide. So, I don't know. It would just be nice to see some things being added into skills. I don't think it would break the skill whatsoever. Let me go ahead and just sell these to the vendor. I don't really need materials anymore. Yeah, bro. Honestly, I agree. I would love for the Paragon boards to just be a little bit. They're just adding blanket stats. It's like, here's multiplicative damage, here's multiplicative damage, something else that kind of gets me annoyed is that every single skill has to be another thing, right? So like, if you want Lightning Storm to be really good, it has to. Well, you don't have to do it so much now. But before, it had to be a werewolf skill with Tempest Roar. Same with Tornado. If you want Pulverize to be good, it has to be an Earth skill. If you want Landslide to be really good and pop off, it has to be a Werebear skill, so you can take advantage of Survival Instinct. It's like this constant need to intermingle multiple aspects of the class to where you lose the identity of a single aspect of the class. And it would be nice if you could just make a Werebear, a werewolf, a human druid, and it not be multiple things. And I think the way they could do that is to and I see a lot of people talk about Shred, and I see a lot of people say like, well, we want Stormclaw to make Shred a storm skill. And I kind of hate that, because I feel like that's what we're just funneling into Thunderstruck because we have to. And I wish you could just have Shred by itself be a werewolf skill. And I think that the passives are fine to give multiplicative damage, but maybe instead of just being Thunderstruck gives multiplicative damage to storm skills, or Earth and Devastation gives multiplicative crit damage to Earth skills. Maybe they could say Earth and Devastation gives multiplicative crit damage to Werebear and Earth skills, and vice versa. Thunderstruck gives multiplicative damage to Werewolf skills as well as Storm skills. So that way you could still get the benefit of those passives, but you didn't have to make everything something else. They could also go back and rework a lot of these legendary nodes too, because a lot of these legendary nodes are just completely terrible. Like constricting tendrils is only useful this season because of Storm Slide and human storm, and not human, but Werebear Storm Slide needing a way to proc poison on enemies easily. I understand that, but honestly, like if we're actually looking at this passive, it's really bad across the board. It's always been completely trash, laughable. No one uses it. Maybe this season it works, but that's just because of Storm Slide, and I would hate to handicap a legendary node for one build. So I feel like they could do something with that. Lust for Carnage, 2 spirit generated on a werewolf skill crit. That's nothing anymore. Like, that's absolutely garbage. They need to change that. I like Survival Instinct. I like some of these, Inner Beast node. They really kind of, in my opinion, I don't like the way they reworked the Inner Beast node. I feel like it was nice to have that opportunity just to have a little bit of skill cost reduction, readily available to you if you needed it for your build. Now it's this ridiculous, multiple shifting, 10 stacks, cooldown, reset, garbage we don't really need in the Druid class. I think it just feels awkward. There's a lot of ways they could tackle it. I don't think they're going to do it that way. I think that would take too much, but they could definitely go in and maybe do some fixing, some buffing, some reworking to some of the legendary nodes. And then a lot of these rare nodes too. These rare nodes are just blanket additive damage increases. I feel like that's just so boring. They could do something different with those as well. I think legendary nodes are fine to be general for your class. Like you want this one for this or that, and it's, adds a general buff to your class. But what they really could have done is created some really interesting rare nodes that maybe directly affected the skill you're choosing. Like maybe you get you change this skill's damage to lightning damage, or you change this skill's damage to poison damage, or this skill's, you know what I'm saying? Like give us something unique, add this to this or that. I don't know. It would just be nice to have a different way of building out your setups. Yeah, that's true. But see, my thing is with movement speed too. I see that you put in mobility there, and I'm a big fan of mobility. Like I feel like the reason why people gravitate towards certain builds and certain classes is because typically those classes and builds are high mobility and they don't sacrifice damage. And something else I thought would be like a general good idea for the game is if instead of making it so much like a chore to build up movement speed, if they just kind of added movement speed to your leveling process, like every time you gain a level, you get like 0.5% movement speed towards movement speed cap. So that way, like when you reach that max level, you're like 130% movement speed. You could even add 1% movement speed, and then you're like at 160% movement speed. And you only need like 40 more percent to reach movement speed cap. I feel like that would help out a lot of classes like Druid in the early game, like Necromancer, which everybody's always complaining about Necromancer, is that it has no mobility. And I think if they did things like that, I feel like they look at certain stats and they act like they're way more powerful than what they really are. And there are so many things in the game that are just exceptionally more powerful than what they should be that their arguments are kind of pointless because they haven't fixed those things. Like a perfect example of that is not giving Druid spirit generation, like base spirit generation for Druid. Why would it would just make the class so much better to play early game. The ability to not have to just solely rely on your basic attacks to build up your resources. Something else they could do is, instead of, what is it, abundance being a basic skill generator like increase, they could just make that base spirit generation. Like little things like that would kind of make things a lot better. No mobility skill. Okay, so yeah, I guess I don't know. I guess you'll now roll teleport for Necromancer. That's what they have the rune word for. Now Necro has a pocket teleport. Yeah, I feel like they're just simple things they could change, simple things that could make the make each class a lot better. I'm definitely, like I said, I'm definitely not looking forward to that new skill. My problem with the new skill is I don't know, man. I feel like they're gonna make it so powerful that, you know, obviously you're gonna pick it, and they'll be like, oh look, we have a fun new skill. It's like, it's not. You just made it really powerful. You just made it overly powered, and then it's the fun new skill. But it's not really. You're just kind of it doesn't even make sense mechanically. It's like a channeling skill that you constantly pulse, and you can't overpower with it. What's up, my son? Just embrace this. Man, I love it. Don't get me wrong. I love the game. I don't want to... I enjoy playing it. It's a heck of a lot of fun. I love the aesthetic of the game. I love a lot of things about it. I just also feel like there are just so many things that are obvious that you could change that really would... I don't know. I'm not a programmer, but it doesn't seem like it would take that much. Because they've made some dramatic changes really fast. So I'm sure that they're capable of doing like a lot of the smaller changes too. And... I feel like they just don't make those changes. They seem a little bit stubborn sometimes. But then it's funny because they eventually implement things that people have been asking for and the game gets better. And then just like happy that the game is better. It's like, well, yeah, because you finally listened to everybody. You finally did what we asked you to do, and now of course the game is better because we, you know, that's what we asked for. Something I will say, Kettle, though, I was peeping out some Necro stuff, and I thought that Blood Wave, the Blood Tidal Wave build or whatever that sends like massive tidal waves of blood, I thought that looked pretty dope. I don't know if you got a chance to play with that at all, but I thought that was pretty awesome. Necromancers aren't doing too bad this season in terms of the pit either. I think they have the third highest pit clear at like 156. Druid's like 154 and Barb is like 148. But I don't know about the class overall. I know a lot of people still say the class is pretty sad to play, unfortunately. What's up, my big boy? You okay? Rogue and Barb. I thought that was so funny. I posted on X. I was like, "That's the culmination of everything they've been working for in Diablo or Barblo 4 and Barblo Season 6. The fact that the first class to hit infinite damage would be the Barbarian. It's like the perfect ending. It's like Barb hitting a infinite damage makes perfect sense. It's what they've been working for forever now. It's like making Barbarian the god class." Mommy's calling you, buddy. You gonna go to mommy? What did you guys think about the way they had the armor and the resistances? Did you guys like that, or do you find it to be a little too much of a chore? I think it's pretty shocking coming from where we're at right now, where it's super easy to cap out armor. And res is a little bit, can be a little bit more of a puzzle, but generally it's not too hard to do. Especially if you just get like Tyrell's Might, which is still the case for the PTR. Just get Tyrell's Might and everything with your resistances doesn't matter. Basically. What'd you guys think about that? Yeah, bro, that's what I'm saying. You need Tyraels, bro. I was saying earlier, man, I was getting popped with Tyraels with max resistances, capped armor. Like, losing that HP was pretty big. I did not realize how much those HP gems actually meant to my survivability. Yeah, I feel like that too. A lot of legendary, a lot of uniques. Kind of, you have to use a lot of the uniques too. I maybe armor. Maybe they can make armor a little less. They really like nerfed the amount of armor you get off your gear and stuff. They brought that number way down. Maybe if they tune that up a little bit, give you a little bit more armor on your gear pieces, so that way when you reach tier 4, you're not, so far under armor cap. I feel like that would help out. At the end of the day, like once you get everything set up the way you want it, you should have no issue getting armor cap and res capped. But it's just the journey to get to that point is probably going to be a lot more painful than people realize, given the fact that we did have access to everything. Like in hardcore, I can just think in hardcore right now, I'm thinking in my head, like, getting to tier 4 safely, getting through tier 4, and to the point where you can farm tier 4 is going to be such a chore at first. I mean, you got to get the right amount of Paragon points so you get everything set up there, and the right amount of armor, the right amount of res. If you don't, you're not going to have access to the mythic uniques, so that way there's no way for you to get Tyrell's Might. Maybe you'll have to farm lower tiers first before you go to Torment 4. Which I'm fine with, but in terms of like build creation, it makes it a lot harder. It'd be easier just playing softcore and having that ability to die. I feel like they've made hardcore, which a little bit. I don't think there are going to be a lot of people playing hardcore. I feel like a lot of people are going to stay away from hardcore now. Like, we had a nice little increase to people after they took away the potion and everything, and there was a bigger community of hardcore players, but I don't know about if it'll stay like that for Season 6, because I feel like it's incredibly punishing. Or, like, the amount of armor you need to reach cap, the amount of resistances you need. And I think it's going to limit a lot of the builds you can play, too. Like, it definitely needed to be increased. Like, you shouldn't be able to just throw in one piece of armor and cap out your armor. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be that easy to cap out your armor. But I don't know if it needed to be that difficult. Yeah, I agree. I honestly don't see a way. I don't know. The most success I had with Shred was when I had, when I was using Tyraels. If I was using Shroud, if those enemies stayed alive for even a second too long, they would just blow me up as soon as they came out of being CC'd. So I would not use a Shroud. It seems like a good item. Also, I think they're going to probably fix it. I don't think you're supposed to just go invisible all the time. but it does seem like an interesting item, especially because it gives you all the passives, gives you ranks to passives. Sounds really cool. Something else that sounded really cool was the two-hander, the one that gives you berserking and a big chunk of damage over time. I thought that sounded pretty good. The unfortunate part is, again, it's a two-hander. I don't know how that's going to fit on the druid. I don't know what build you could possibly use it on where you can afford to give up your two-hand slot. I'm telling you, they really should give classes more weapon or item slots. I don't think that there are just so many things that you can't use because you need that aspect slot. Yeah, it is definitely the drops don't feel as good because you're not getting what you really want. I think the problem is they took away the tempering from your normal legendary item, and they only let you double temper ancestral ones with a GA on it, which makes, and also it's 750, like 750 versus 800. You know, now you just get an item, it's always 925. You can double temper it, it's whatever. On the PTR, you know, it's very specific as to what you can and can't, you know, what you can and can't use, what you can and can't temper. You know, you want to get that tier 800, you know, the item power 800 gear piece. You want to be able to double temper it. So you're always looking for that. And until you get that, it just doesn't feel good on your, you know, like to put anything in your, on your build. It doesn't feel like worth investing any kind of resources on an item. And it does feel like, well, they did. They dramatically decreased the drop rates. I noticed it too on the vendor, the Obels vendor. I was not getting anywhere near the amount of GAs I was getting from like Season 5 here on the vendor. Now that could just be I was having bad luck. But it did seem like the drop rate for GAs there was a lot smaller. And also the fact that unique items don't automatically drop as ancestral, like giving you that GA, the fact that you're going to have to farm these unique items, not so much for gear pieces or jewelry pieces, but for weapon uniques, that feels pretty bad. You're going to have to farm bosses a heck of a lot more to get GAs on the weapon uniques, so that way you can actually have an item power 800, so that way you're dealing the most amount of damage. That one felt bad. That's another reason why I didn't farm up like a waxing gibbous or something like that, because I didn't want to take that much time to farm up bossing materials to do rotations on bosses. Which I found to be actually pretty funny that there were people on the PTR doing boss rotations. I was like, why is that a thing? Like, why don't we just have boss access on the PTR too? Like, kill as much as you can, get as many items as you can. I don't know. Just seemed like it was a little bit of an oversight. Yeah, for real. That 750, bro, that thing felt bad. That was a really not... And I just feel like the unique should just drop at 800. It's like they don't have perfect stats like mythic uniques. So you're not really, you know, you're not getting a perfect item anyway. So it's like now not only you're going to hope an item drops at 800, but you're also going to hope that it has decent stats. So it's like, you know, you're trying to get, say, Unsung Ascetic Wraps, and you want to get that 40% multiplier, but you just can't get that 40% multiplier on a nice pair of, you know, 800 item power gloves. And it just adds that extra step to getting the uniques that you want for your build. And like they said, you know, they want you to have like anywhere from 2 to 4 unique items on a build. Well, that's a hell of a lot of bossing. That's a hell of a lot of bossing. And if you're not doing tier 4 bossing, you know, depending on how the drop rates are, it could be pretty painful. That's, you know, I don't mind the, see, I don't necessarily mind the limitation on the Paragon boards being 5. I would just like them to make there be a reason for your Paragon boards to only give you 5. And I think the reason for that is those new those new glyphs that give you ridiculous amounts of base stats and everything. I think that's kind of the reason. But honestly, what I think they should do, they just need to buff up all these rare nodes. Like, these rare nodes should be really impactful. I'm not saying like give you so much damage or survivability it's ridiculous, but these rare nodes need to be way more valuable, and then they could jack up the stat cost. So maybe you're going after certain ones, you're not going after all of them, and then you're going for stats to unlock that. I mean, I don't mind the resource generation. Honestly, I don't mind the resource generation. I don't think that was a problem with the item. I don't think it was a problem. It could be a better stat, but I don't think it was a big deal. I think the additive damage for when you're coming out of stealth seems... I don't know. It could be good. I don't know if it's worthy. I think just giving you stealth, maybe adding something else there. It plays along with the item. It's not a bad stat. But it seems, it's very specific. Like, you have to come out of stealth for it. And the way they have the shroud worded, it's like if you haven't attacked for 2 seconds, then you're going to go into stealth. So the way when they fix it, you shouldn't really be getting stealth that often unless you're intentionally not attacking an enemy. So you might not get as much value out of that stat as you would, as you do on the PTR. Oh God, no. No. Abandon. I wish we could just turn off quests. Oh, here we go. The space cockroach. Deleted him. Oh yeah, I definitely think it will definitely have a lot of use out of something like Shred, where you get that stealth more often through another way of, obviously you're not going to wait around every 2 seconds. But that's my overall issue, is that you kind of have to, like, if you don't have a stealth mechanic in your class that allows you to kind of take advantage of that mythic unique aspect there, I don't think you're going to get much use out of it. So I know rogues have a lot of stealth. We have stealth from Gibbous. But I don't know if you're going to wait around for 2 seconds so that way you get the stealth. So that's why I don't know if the damage is actually that valuable across the board, right? Because mythic uniques are across the board for every class. They're not specific to one class. So it does make it where it doesn't have as many use case scenarios as what most mythic uniques do. Although, again, the passives, I mean, +1 to all passives is pretty crazy. That gives you so much. But like I said, I was still getting popped with Tyrael's Might, so I don't even know if that's going to be... I had like a 3 GA Tyrael's Might with 2 rolls into damage reduction and 1 roll into all res cap, and I was still getting popped at times, man, depending on what enemy I was fighting. Granted, that wasn't like the highest tier, but still, I mean, that's where everybody's going to be shooting for. Everybody's going to be shooting for tier 100. if you can't do tier 100, your build is trash. That's what I've been told. Something else they need to do is add a vendor inside of bosses too. I've seen that on a couple people say that, which I agree with. Adding a vendor inside bosses so you don't have to constantly teleport out to sell things. I will say though, I did find a use for Tassets of the Dawning Sky. I found those to be a pretty useful unique now. Well, on the PTR, depending on how they change things. Tassets were actually pretty valuable. Nice way to like get some extra res early on, like break res cap. I might end up running Tassets on hardcore depending on how they change everything. Until I get like a Tyrael's Might. I don't like the fact that I feel like I have to have a Tyrael's Might though. That kind of sucks. Because I really enjoy making different ways of increasing my survivability. And feeling like I have to use Tyrael's Might. And it just limits my builds, like what I can and can't use. My little one is running around the house. He's in his little walker, like this little walker deal that help, you know, those little tiny four-wheeled things help your baby walk around early on when they can't walk on their own. He flies around the house in that thing, bashes into walls, bashes into the trash can. Yeah, you definitely get a lot of... Yeah, there's a lot of damage reduction you can get from that combination. But the fact that they've dropped our health down so much without the HP gems, man, I'm telling you, it definitely you definitely feel a difference running around without that big giant chunk of HP to keep you from getting one tapped. And they removed all of the HP on hit. I noticed that too. They took all the HP on hit away. And I think now the only way to get HP on hit, which is actually pretty powerful. Honestly, they could have probably left it the way it was because it was not really useful now, but the amount you get versus the amount of HP you would have on the PTR, it'd actually be quite useful. But they took it all away, and I think the only place you can get it is having an Andy. Which I think is unfortunate because no one ran that stat, that affix, but I would definitely run that affix if I could in hardcore on the PTR. Yeah, I had a ton of DR, and I would still be at the mercy of some of the mob mechanics at times. Like I said, I had like 54% damage reduction off of my Tyraels. Multiple, you know, obviously I was doing a quick shift setup with my shred, so all the DR I was getting from there, from being fortified, all of that, and I was still getting tapped, one tap sometimes. Well, probably not one tap, but there will be mechanics that hit so fast, multiple times, like I said, the electrified obelisk is like just a turret, electricity turret, that I would basically shred through my HP so fast that I didn't have time to actually react. I think it's funny because I actually uploaded that on my Shred, my Tier 100 clear with Shred. You seen in that video, like, I turned around. They're like, you know the elite enemies in Pit that have just a massive HP bar, but they're by themselves? I don't know what they want, like super elites. Every time I would run into one of those enemies, I would just run away from it because it would take way too long to kill it, and the amount of damage those things could do was way higher than anything else. And I would just basically run away from those. So there was a point in the video where I ran across two of them, and I left one behind. Then I ran into a room around a corner. I went around a corner. There was a room off to the side, off to the right. No, also off on the left-hand side. I ran into that room. There was a second, like, really big elite enemy, and then I turned back around, and that guy kept following me, the first one I ran into, and it just, as soon as I turned around to continue running away, boom, my guy just entirely, every bit of my HP gone. Not even a second to really... Oh, bro, I watched it, bro. I watched it in Violent. It's... Did you watch it yet, Kettle? Oh, yeah, I ran Masochistic. Actually, I really enjoyed Masochistic. In my opinion, they should change Masochistic back to the way it was when the game first launched. They need to see some of the things, and that's funny because they're actually doing that with Grizzly Rage. They're reverting the nerfs. That's all they're really doing. They're reverting the nerfs. You're going to get unstoppable 100% of the time while being in Grizzly Rage. And I think they should do that with Masochistic too. They need to take off the lucky hit and just give you a 100% chance on crit to restore your HP with your shapeshifting skill. It doesn't have to be 100%. It could be 75%, but they just need to take the lucky hit off. Like, the lucky hit kills anything. The lucky hit kills anything. I did see The Deliverance. I did watch The Deliverance, and I actually thought it was pretty interesting. I thought it was pretty interesting until the end. I felt the end was a bit choppy. But I really like the one they did. Glenn Close, boy, they did Glenn Close wrong, bro. Like, they dress her up like a demon. It was kind of, I thought it was, yeah. I mean, it was. There were some parts about it that I really thought were pretty good, like the way that they had it set up. I thought they did a decent job, but it was pretty choppy at the end there. And overall, I felt like it was pretty long, too. Like, way longer than it should have been. I'm not exactly sure why she did that. Why she did that role. But I'm sure she does need the money. I will tell you, though, what is it? In a Violent Nature, it's a bit of a slow burner. It's a bit of a slow burner. They had me thinking it was going to be much more shocking. Yeah, I agree. Like, it wasn't scary whatsoever. Like, it wasn't scary. It never really was an intense movie. I would say, though, the atmosphere felt really authentic. Like, some of the scenes in the movie felt really good, but none of the horror scenes. It was usually something with the family, what the family was doing, you know, things like that. It had nothing to do with the actual horror aspect of the movie. But there were certain aspects of the movie that felt very authentic, the way they did them. or maybe it just I related to it a lot from my childhood and growing up, things like that. But the movie overall is like a horror movie. Not good at all. Not good whatsoever. And the ending, like I said, was super choppy and all over the place. The movie was a bit all over the place in general. Definitely not a, maybe a one-time watch. And then if you're not into that type of movie, don't watch it at all. Oh yeah, the speaking it man. Listen, don't. Hey, that one always gets me, bro. I don't want to get into that. I don't want to touch on that topic. Oh yeah, the speaking in tongues, man. Oh, that always gets that always gets me. That always gets me. I don't want to. I don't want to offend nobody. I feel the same way. Have a good night, Pepper. Thanks for stopping by and thanks for your help. Thank you for your help. I appreciate you giving me some feedback on my stream settings so that way I could adjust the volume. Have I seen like a good horror movie recently? I don't know. A lot of old stuff. That's about it. I tried to queue up the prequel to A Quiet Place, but I didn't really pay attention. I'm gonna try to rewatch it. I like the first one. Second one was okay. I'm waiting for that Terrifier 3. I agree. I I do agree. I do agree. I do agree with that. And I come from like come from like a rural area. We went to I've heard it. I've heard it in real life. I've heard it in real life. And it never yeah, it always makes me feel like I need to have a good poker face. All right, I think I have, how many scrolls do I have? I have 2. I had like 27, but I died on a character that had all my scrolls on my Xbox, which I should not have been playing around on. I mean, did you watch the new Exorcist movie? Did you watch that one at all? It with the 2 little girls. They're like 2 little girls. They go into the woods. They get possessed. They come back. Did you watch that one? It reminded me of that one. It reminded me the quality of it. It reminded me like that one. It was like super far out there. Really didn't make much sense. The characters didn't really seem that interesting. It's kind of what it reminded me of. All right, I'm gonna swap over. Let me just break these sigils down. And I'm gonna put these. Yeah, I think it's the Believer. It has a. It's the 2. Yeah, it's. If you watch that one, it will kind of give you a very similar feel. Like those 2 movies feel really similar, very close in terms of the acting, the setting, what you end up with at the end. Just feels kind of pointless, like a pointless movie. Yo, this is actually kind of cool. This different streaming though, bro. Like I can see you talking to me on Twitch. I can see like I know this probably sounds stupid because other people do this all the time, but I don't do this all the time. But I can see everybody talking to me on Twitch. I can see everybody talking on YouTube. If anybody's on YouTube watching, this is actually pretty cool. If you, I would say watch it though, and then you know, you'll see what I'm talking about. Well, yeah, the only movie I think I want to watch, like horror movie wise, that's new is the new Terrifier movie. Whenever that comes out, I always find I love how over the top they are. It's always fun to watch. I'm surprised it's so popular. Like, I'm surprised the amount of gore that's in it and the over the top like nature of the movie. I wonder if people really like it or they just say they like it because it's trendy. It just doesn't seem like one of those movies that would be super popular. It seems like you'd have to be really into horror to enjoy it, just because of how gory it is, how over the top it is. I gotta adjust my spirit here. I'm trying to think about what I want to put on this chest piece. If I want to go like cooldown to bulwark, if I want to increase like debilitating roar, or if I don't want debilitating roar, if I just want to run something like cyclone and just try to jack up. I probably will run debilitating roar. I might do debilitating roar and debilitating roar duration. Well, debilitating roar duration. Because I need I need I think I need willpower over ranks. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's just it's real gory. Like the only thing is I typically don't like super gory movies just because I feel like people use it inappropriately. It's just not as interesting. But what I will say, like for instance, I never really dig the Saw movies. I never really enjoyed the story, and I always thought they were kind of uninteresting. But I think just the fact that the Art the Clown character is so interesting and aesthetically interesting to me, with the evil clown, you know, get up and everything, and the fact that it's just unapologetically over the top, just to be, you know, it doesn't bother me as much. It doesn't make not bother me, but it just doesn't seem as boring to me. But I feel like generally people don't want to watch stuff like that, and it seems like it's far more popular than what I ever expected to be. Which I kind of like, to be honest. I like the idea that horror movies are kind of making a comeback. I hope we can actually get some pretty decent horror movies, like higher budget horror movies. There's that new Nosferatu movie coming out. Did you see that one? Did you see the trailer to that? I'm actually pretty interested to watch that. I think it has like Bill Skarsgård as the vampire. He's been in like every movie recently, even The Crow, which I have no idea why they remade that movie. That one's a puzzle. That one puzzles my mind. Not sure why they did that. Let's see. Yeah, we'll go debilitating roar duration, and then we'll probably just go petrify duration. Of course, they would give me a 10.5. I don't want to go too many times on this. It's not like it matters at the end of the day. It's not going to be the make or break. Go petrify duration. There we go. That's fine. I need to jack up the masterwork on that. I need to get that willpower rolled off here. Get the shapeshift attack speed. Landslide to cast twice. But I definitely need the spirit per second. me go ahead and swap. I'm just gonna use up all of these, basically. Not worry about it. We'll just farm up some more. I watched this YouTube channel called Rockland Graves. Have you heard about it? This guy it's not a big YouTube channel. He's definitely growing pretty quick just because he has like a cool little breakdown of horror movies. You should check it out if you get a chance. It's pretty interesting. He breaks down all the horror movies, even like the soundtracks of the horror movies. Pretty cool little horror movie YouTube channel. I heard the new Alien movie was good. What is it? Alien Romulus? I heard that was pretty good. Can I get lucky? I don't even think I have enough. No, I don't. That's okay. So you have 10 spirit per second. I'm going to go test that out. Yeah, but the new Alien Romulus, people said was pretty good. That'd be funny if I accidentally enchanted my spirit per second. I think we'll just keep willpower. Let me go see how well this works. I need time to do that. Let me enchant my masterwork, my amulet, masterwork, everything. At least what I need. I need landslide rings to set a life on hit. That's fine. And then I need some kind of damage affix instead of willpower. That's good. That's fine. Give me damage reduction. We'll take that. I don't want to go too crazy. Because I'm going to have to change all this stuff out anyway. Life on hit. Swap that. I know it's probably going to take me forever to get landslide ranks, but oh, never mind. Hey, look at there. Bang. And I got a 3. That's actually really nice. That's nice. Thank you, game. Thank you for not raking me over the coals. Now let's see if we can't get just any passive, really. Any decent passive. And then we'll keep rolling later. Preferably quick shift. If not in Venom. I'm going to stop there because I don't have the gold to keep doing that. I'll have to farm up or sell some stuff. I just want to test. I want to test my spirit generation real quick. Make sure I don't run out of spirit with this setup. I don't want to run T-Bow's Will just because I feel like I need a little bit more tankiness if I plan on having consistent opportunity to clear higher and higher pits. I might lose some damage, but getting unstoppable isn't really like that. It's like I have no way of cooling down my Earthen Bulwark, and I don't think having a little bit more damage is that big of a deal. If I can have double my HP. We need a little bit more, I think. Need a little bit more. I have a really good Earthbreaker ring for this setup. I think we need a little bit more spirit per second. And maybe a better roll of resource cost reduction on our staff. I don't want to run. I really don't want to run Tybalt's Will, because I feel like I'm not going to get as much out of it. But I might end up running it. Let's just see what happens. Yeah, I still don't think I have enough restore. Still chunking through. Can't use Energize because I have to have Pack Leader. Not sure. I don't want to pick up Inner Beast. I feel like that's a waste. I could be wrong though. I might end up having to pick up Inner Beast. Which means I have to sacrifice somewhere else. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 points. 12 points. I'll have to look through it. Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and get off stream here. I'm going to try to make that video kind of going over the class overall and give my suggestions as to the way I think they could probably fix a lot of the different issues with the Druid class. But I will probably be back on maybe Monday, stream Monday or Tuesday, sometime around that time. I'm gonna be busy until then. But thank you guys for stopping by. Thank you for helping me test out the stream on all of these platforms. And I will be doing this more consistently from now on. So I hope you guys are having a great day or a great night, depending wherever you're from. And peace out, guys. I will see you.